Welcome to the podcast Above the Cloud, Stories from the Boardroom. In every episode, we interview business leaders who are navigating the complex world of B2B marketing. Whether you're trying to grow revenue, swoop into a new market, or launch new products, we promise you've landed in the right spot. And now your host, Richard Byrd.
Today on the show, we have a very special guest. We have Miss Emily Canon. And Emily is the Demand Generation Marketing Director at Management Controls, Inc. Welcome to the show, Emily.
I am so excited to be here, Richard. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. We've known each other for a really long time. I think of all the guests that have been on, I think I know you longer than anybody.
Yeah, I think we go back, what are we going to say, like 12 years, 13 years, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. So, yeah, well, I'm really happy to have you on. And, in the pre-interview, we had a lot of interesting discussions about what you guys are up to and how you're leveraging technology and how you're leveraging some old school tricks as well.
Yeah.
And so I think the audience is going to get a lot out of your interview today. So as you know, the tradition on the Above the Clouds Stories from the Boardroom podcast is we ask our guests, what if their company was a bird, what kind of bird would it be?
So I love this question, and I pondered it for quite a while. And I know, Richard, you and I talked about it a little bit. And I did some research. So I have now come up with, I came up with my bird, and it's different than what we talked about. So I am going with a falcon.
Hey.
I'm going with a falcon. And
why a falcon?
Why? Yeah, no. I would love to tell you why a falcon. So they are cool. They've got talons, which I really appreciate. Love that. But they are known for their precision, their speed, and their sharp vision, which is very much in line with our product, MyTrack. So we deliver real-time data in a very precise way for third-party vendors on site. So I saw Falcon, and I was like, oh yeah, that's like very similar to our product. They are also very strategic hunters, and we have a very defined ICP. We know who we want to go after and essentially attack, if you want to use a bird term, with the claws. So I really align with the fact that they're strategic hunters, and I feel that we are very much strategic hunters as well when we're trying to find new clients.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. They are, people don't know this, but falcons are actually better hunters than eagles.
And I believe that's why I picked a falcon.
Yeah. Eagles will eat anything. They'll eat dead stuff. They don't care. Falcons,
they are.
Forget it.
Yeah, they are also built for high performance, and that's exactly what our platform does. So we're a high performing platform. So it was like, this is it. We're a falcon.
I like it. Way to toe the company line there. High performing platform. I like it. It's almost like you're in marketing or something.
Nah, I know. I had like buzzwords. I'm like throwing quite a few buzzwords in there, but I had to make it a little creative.
I like it. Well, I guess for the audience, why don't you walk us through your career? How'd you get your start in this marketing game?
So I knew I always wanted to be in a creative field growing up. Always loved the creative side. Was not on the math and science side, although I did love physics and geometry. So I knew I wanted to be something on the creative side. So after graduation, I have a degree in communications, minor in journalism. And I was just like, sign me up for whatever job will hire me out of college. And I took a marketing assistant role. I just really loved the amount of change it offered me, right? And I think we can all agree that marketing just changes so much. And me starting 20 years ago was very interesting time. It was when, Facebook was coming out and, social media really wasn't a thing, and where we are now. So I started as a marketing assistant and just kind of grew my way through. I was in oil and gas for a while. And once obviously the market kind of was very cyclical, I went over into tech for about 5 years in transportation tech and fintech. And then I have now merged my two roles. And so now I work for a software company that's in the heavy asset space, which is very big in the oil and gas side and technology. So I've kind of blended both worlds together, but it's all been on the B2B side. So
Wow. So I didn't know you had a journalism minor. That's cool.
I did. Well, it was photography, so that kind of aligns with my side
there you
gig.
go.
So
Photojournalist.
yeah.
We've had a few guests that were have studied journalism. I would had a journalism major actually. It's pretty. So I think it's something that really helps you as a marketer. To be able to ask questions and understand what's going on, and then tell it in a succinct way.
Yeah, well, I originally wanted to do graphic design because I was like, oh, I really love art, but my college didn't have a graphic design degree, so I just went communications, and I was like, cool, I'll try this. So,
no, what gets you on your path?
Yeah, it is. So here we are.
So as you kind of went down your career, and tell me about that first job when you were when you say marketing. What was it?
It was like literally a marketing assistant.
All right.
So, low man on the totem pole, and you will appreciate this, Richard. Speaking of like the old marketing tactics coming back, I found the job in the Houston Chronicle.
Oh, wow. That's old school.
Yeah. I sat there at my parents' house highlighting jobs that were listed in the paper.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And I went in and interviewed, and they gave me a job. It was right after I came back I did the Walt Disney World's internship, the college program. And then I came back and I said, I can't live at my parents' house. Give me the first job I can get. So,
man, yeah, listen up, kids. LinkedIn wasn't always a thing. And,
no, LinkedIn, literally a highlighter, like circling things, and then email. Email was a thing, obviously, but I emailed my resume in, went in for the interview. I was there for about a year and a half. And I still talked to a couple people that worked there. So, I did like the old school, stuff. But which is coming back now. So writing direct mail postcards and stuff like that, which is totally making a comeback now. So,
yeah, well, people are more apt to open their mailbox than they are their email box these days.
Oh, for sure. I love something in the mail that's not a bill. So,
yeah, exactly. Well, you touched on it there. And so let's go there. I want to talk about the Disney experience. Tell us about when you're working at Disney, because there's a lot of lessons around brand and brand behavior.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I've had this conversation with quite a few people. It's kind of like your party trick. It's like your fun fact that everyone you get cringy about asking. Tell me your fun fact, and I always use Disney usually as my fun fact. Typical college senior. I had zero plans after college, and my advisor said, "Hey, Disney's coming to interview," and I said, "Sure, why not?" I have not one idea of what I'm gonna do after I walk across the stage, and I interviewed, and they hired me. So I packed my car up, I don't know, maybe a week after graduation, and moved to Florida, and I lifeguarded. So I told it had zero to do with my actual degree, but when I tell you it taught me more in 6-8 months that I was there than it did in my 4-year college experience. Disney is run like a tight ship. When you talk about brands, they're up there, right, with their brand continuity, just how they operate. They're very big on, we want everybody to have the same experience every single day when they walk into a park, a hotel, or whatever property that they're on. We want them to have the same exact experience. So that they really drove that in to us. They were run like a well-oiled machine. So down from the how you looked and how you acted, how you talk to guests and things like that. So I think that has really taken me through in my career, because I always bring things up don't point with one finger, it's rude, just stuff like that. And smile in the background of photos because you're in the background of people's vacation photos. So kind of always remember what your face looks like and how you're talking to people and just things like that. And like I said, I was a lifeguard, so it had nothing to the job, right? The skills and the job description had nothing to do with where I'm at now, but it had everything to do with kind of where I've gotten. So
yeah, man, if everybody paid as much attention to customer experience as Disney, this world would be a great world.
Yeah, it's like that. And Chick-fil-A, they tell you man, if everybody ran a Chick-fil-A drive-through,
oh man, the efficiency of this country, our GDP would go through the roof.
Right. Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, talk to me about your job at Management Controls. What's your day-to-day look like over there?
Yeah, day to day, I mean, typical marketer, no day is the same. So I started with Management Controls about, oh my gosh, 2.5 years ago. Came in on the demand gen side, so really helping drive our awareness in the market. We are a very unknown company, which is like horrible. Everybody's like, oh, we're the best kept secret. Like nobody wants to be known as that, right? And so we were like, we need to build our brand. We need to get out in the market. We need to get into new spaces. We need to, increase our customer base on the net new side. So I came in and started helping with that strategy, I guess, if you will. So I really look over, our events, was over like a lot of our social media or demand gen campaigns, helping with like our PPC and working with speaking events, things like that. The company's about 36, almost 37 years old. And
wow.
Yeah, they've been around for a very long time, big in the oil and gas space, but it's incredible that companies can survive that long without any kind of marketing. So they have really good market retention. So we knew we needed to you can use that obviously to your advantage to help build your customer base. It's like we have customers don't leave us. So, but it's like, how do we do that? So I'm kind of in doing that. So no day is the same. We're very, very big on events, in-person events, like large, small, one-to-one webinars, like partnering with associations, things like that. So that kind of touches on what we were saying earlier, like the old methods of marketing are coming back, which is, everybody kind of like hates on events, but it's been great for us. So.
Yeah. Well, I do think, post-pandemic events have gotten to be one of those things where I think people want to get out. They don't want to be cooped up in, so many people are working from home now. It's like, it's a good excuse to put on some pants and get out of your house and go do something fun, catch up with old people at the trade show and see your old friends, kick the tires on some new technology. So we've seen that with our clients too, that people are really engaged at trade shows.
Yeah. And that's definitely what we're seeing, just because we know if we can have a one-to-one conversation with somebody, that's the right ICP. It usually triggers something to be like, okay, I want to learn more. I want to dig in a little bit deeper on your software. So we have really learned specifically in the last couple years that events are a driver for us. Now, of course, we have got failures, right? We have events that we're just like, man, this was not it. This was not the right target. And we just won't go back, right? So it's taken this has been like what we call like a learning year for us to just go all in on some of these tactics that we kind of knew were working, but like if we maybe really go all in a little bit more, then maybe the return on investment is higher, right? So there's so many tactics out there, and it's like obviously that magic question is, what's the magic bullet? Like, what's the one thing that works? It's like the worst question to ask a marketer, especially in like a B2B space that's a enterprise sales. It's like, there's not one, but we have been able to determine like this one is like a higher return on investment for us.
Yeah. So people always ask me that too. They're like, what's the best marketing tactic? I was like, they all are great and they all suck.
Yeah.
Well, I need to know more.
Yeah, it's kind of, and I was thinking about this yesterday. I was like, man, we're talking about how good events work, but I've been in my career too, where I've gone from one job to the next, and a company that I was working for was like, man, like your team drove 80% of your company revenue at your last company in like a year, and you did all this and did all this. He's like, well, you've been here for 6 months and we don't have that. And I'm like, oh, like we're not comparing apples to apples, like at all. They were known in the market, you're not known in the market. That's like a big thing. PPC is higher, cost per conversion is higher, this is lower, this is our and it's so crazy. And it's just, I think I was just like, man, it almost was like offensive, I think, in a way. He was like, well, you're not doing your job. I'm like, well, I did. It's like you're diminishing what I did at my last job, right? But it's like, you can't, the same things are not going to work, and it's definitely not going to work in a couple of months, which I think is like the hard story to sell, right? Like everyone thinks that you can just turn a button on and things work. In some cases it might, right? But in most cases, especially coming from a B2B world on an enterprise sales world, it's not that quick.
Oh man, for sure. I think we see that a lot. A lot of our clients have really long sales cycles. So, if you went from a job where you had a 2-month sales cycle to a job where you have an 18-month sales cycle.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You're not going to know if it's working. You're not going to know for a while if you're looking at ROIs or measurable, right?
Right. And even if you're not tracking it. So, it's been really cool that I've been at a few companies where we went from not tracking anything to implementing Salesforce to really be able to determine, the impact that marketing has had, because we have actual hard data to show this worked, this drove revenue, over the course of this time. This is our sales cycle. This is this and this and this. So that's what I have really loved to see. And it's kind of funny because I was never a math person. And one of my old bosses, she would tell me, this was, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And she was like, you have to like math. And I was like, oh my God, I hate math. Like, I don't like math. But now I've come to be like, oh my God, we equated for, $4 million revenue by this point. We invested in, so it's been kind of an interesting evolution, if you will.
Sure. Yeah.
From I'm just, sending a piece of mail to somebody to like, oh yeah, now we're diving in and we're seeing like factual numbers that you can prove that are like driving revenue. You can't just say like, well, I had this event and I think it worked, but then how do you know, right? So that's been actually probably one of the coolest things for me to see within the past, I would say like really like 7-8 years, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's something too that I think people in like B2C and in some industries within B2B, but take for granted that you can that you can see that clear ROI, and that everything is, you can really do good attribution modeling and all those kinds of things. But so many times in the B2B space, they sell things with such long sales cycles that are so big ticket, are touched by so many people and all that. It's really, they have such disparate systems. They don't have an all-in-one system that's like, here's where the lead came through, and we tracked it all the way through our CRM, and then we followed it all through our ERP system, and it came back out, and here's how much money came out of the other side.
Yeah.
Sometimes those systems don't talk to each other, and it's it takes a little work to get to the bottom of, did that turn into real money?
Right, for sure. And I feel like, especially on the enterprise side, to your point, it takes, like, you can implement Salesforce, say in January, but you still need, and that's if it's functioning correctly, right? If you don't have things that are breaking, right? Or you're not, you're constantly having to, change and fix and kind of modify like what you need your reporting system to do. So it's like you have to give it a full 12 months to kind of really see, the fruits of your labor, if you will. So that's been really cool to see the whole Salesforce side of it. I never thought I would be a person that would be like, are we reporting on this? Are we tracking this correctly? What was the lead source? Like, what is this? And then, being that person that one of my jobs a few years ago when I was at the transportation company, like we had high inbounds, and so we would refresh. We were like, oh my God, we're refreshing the dashboards every couple hours to see like our our new logos like refreshed, and we were closing 25 to 30 new logos a month. So that's a lot for especially my history, my career, a month. So like, oh my God, we closed another one. So it's very cool to see that, and you can like actually like kind of see the performance and track it. So
those short sales cycles are so rewarding.
They are so rewarding. Like,
so
I love that. Yeah.
I remember one of my early jobs, I worked for a formal wear rental place, Al's Formal Wear.
Oh my gosh, I remember Al's.
I was in the marketing department there. It was great because like Friday, I had to design the ads. We would send it to the newspapers and the magazines and everything every Friday. And then we would come back in on Monday, and we knew how well the stores performed. So we had the data from the store right there, and it was like it's a terrible weekend, or oh my god, we had a great weekend. So you're like, great, that was it was fun to to get that instant feedback, because it's like I'd send them off to the publications before I left on Friday, and then Monday morning we had the numbers. It's like I didn't even miss anything. Yeah, it was really cool. Well, so you said you've been in this job for 2 years now. I can't believe it. I still like just yesterday and you came in there. But what's one thing you know now that you wish you had known on day one about your current role?
Oh my gosh. I think I knew like we had a long sales cycle rate, but I think I wish I would have known how long, maybe. I don't know. And I think just to kind of know, like, man, it does take a long time. Like, I've been in enterprise sales, right, where it takes, 4, 5, 6 months. But man, like, we've been working some of these accounts for a year plus, and it's like, man, it's like, why don't they just close? Like, why don't they just close? But it can be frustrating. But honestly, I think it makes it makes it sweeter when it does close. You're like, man, we finally cracked you, right? And then, I think just knowing, like, kind of like learning that, and then really, like, I knew we were niche, right? I knew we were a very niche product, but we are niche. Like, nobody knows, like, nobody knew us. No, like, not, I was like, well, how do people not? I was like, I feel like people should, like this software, everybody should be using this, right? So I think those are kind of two, like, big things that maybe, that I wish maybe I knew on day one. But I feel like that's kind of been the case at most of the jobs I've been at too. I think I like the challenge too. So I don't know. I haven't really been super surprised by much, but
yeah, nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah, I think it's like, oh, okay, like
like, yeah, okay, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting too, because the company had been around for so long. They had a very niche market, and they still had low brand awareness. It's interesting because I think some of those companies, you're not going to be a household name, but the 2,000 people in the world who need to know your name, they know you, right? So that's interesting. How did you, when you guys were working on that brand awareness, knowing you have a very niche market, what were you looking at, Emily, to kind of build that brand awareness out there in the market?
I think for us, so we have like a couple competitors in the market. We've got a Pay Shepherd, which is based in Canada. We've got AES 32, Field Glass. So we don't really have like a strong direct competitor in our market. I think for us, when we wanted to build our brand awareness in the market, we needed to define our ICP. We needed to define like who our ideal customer profile was, who did we want to target, because we just couldn't just hit everybody, right? Like, sure. So we really sat down probably about 3 years ago. It was right after I came on board. They were like, we need to sit down. Like, we know, like, yeah, we want to talk to these big oil and gas companies or these big manufacturing companies, whatever, but like, who do we need to talk to? So they really did a good job at defining that ICP and then defining their pain points. So we really took all of that and started doing more like targeted messaging or targeting content, right? Because we just couldn't be like, yeah, you have contractors, we can help you solve their invoicing problem, right? Like, it's like, okay, I don't care. But it's like, we would talk to somebody in procurement or somebody in maintenance or somebody that's a plant manager and be like, we know you're probably having this problem. Let's talk about it. So that would trigger more of a conversion, right? They're like, oh yeah, I do have that problem. Like, let's talk about it. It's like, oh, MyTrack can help you solve this. Are you overspending on you're getting overbilled XYZ amount? Well, our software can come and help with that on like a procurement side. So really coming in and defining that. And then on an added layer, it's like, well, we know we're industry agnostic. Like, we can go into any industry, but then it's like, you kind of have to have that other layer of discussion of like, well, we can't target every single industry in the market that's XYZ revenue, XYZ, right? It's like, who do we want to target? Like, what industry do we want to target and what titles? So we really have had to drill that down and then focus that way. So it really is like an ABM approach, from a one-to-one, one-to-few, one-to-many approach. So that, I think that really helped us, really kind of target our messaging, target who we wanted to talk to, kind of goes back to that Falcon Byrd thing. they're so precise and, accurate. So I think that has really helped us build our awareness. It still takes time, right? So
yeah, maybe talk about the management control solution that you guys are talking about, because I think, when we see these kinds of it's when you describe it to people, I think people understand why the sales cycle is so long and why it's challenging.
Yeah, so Management Controls is the company. MyTrack is the software. So our software works with third-party vendors, with your third-party vendors that you have on site, their contracts. So we essentially digitize the contractors that you have on site. Our software digitizes their contracts. So we integrate with your site's gate access controls, like your ERP system, and our software goes in and essentially just digitizes all of that. So we are able to track your time on site, your contract compliance, is this welder working on the right job? Does he have certifications? Things like that. So historically, a lot of our customers would track their contractors' time on site, like by just a paper invoice and an Excel document. And so John Smith over at XYZ plant said he worked 10 hours when he really only worked 7 hours. It's crazy the amount of overbilling that happens. And people are just like, they just don't realize it because you're so busy, you're just signing off on stuff. So essentially our software comes in and just digitizes all of that, and they can build, our customers can essentially build dashboards. So we're like, okay, we can eliminate the overbilling side of it. We've estimated that we save around 18 to 15% on just like the contractor spend. So on some of these big sites, at Shell, P66, we've got some large name customers like that. I mean, it's millions that they're saving a year, and just when we eliminate the overbilling.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You look at, when you're working with those big enterprise clients, that all the KPIs just scale massively. It's like, well, we'll save you 2% in, all of a sudden that's $50
It's like millions. Yeah. Yeah. You're like 8%. Like, I don't want to go shopping and get an 8% sale on my t-shirt, because that's kind of like, oh, but then when you look at it, you're like, oh, you just saved 8% on, $100 million or whatever it is. Like, that's huge. So it's crazy.
And I bet that is a complex sell too, because think about all the stakeholders that need to be involved.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've got to have people in from procurement, from a legal standpoint, from IT. We've got C-suite involved. We've got CIOs, CTOs, people that are, on the plant side, things like that. So, I mean, we could have, 15, 20 decision makers that, need to be in the room on those meetings, right? So that also plays into, a long sales cycle. So you have to be patient sometimes. And then of course there's turnover in our industry too. Like we could be talking to somebody and they're like, oh, the whole procurement team was no longer there. They've left. So you got to kind of restart everything. So
re-educate the next person up.
Yeah.
That is so frustrating in those long sales cycles where people that have all the turnover, and you're like, man, our champion left, the person that's really pulling us through this whole
like,
thing.
No.
Yeah. And then IT, is there a tougher person in the buying committee to convince an IT? I don't think there is.
Yeah. You're like, oh, you're going to bring a software in to this like enterprise. So typically the way we work though too is we won't go like enterprise wide. We'll be at like, one or two facilities or one or two plants or locations. And then we do like an expansion. So once we get in there and we get implemented and they see the value, they're like, okay, I'm really, I'm seeing the value at these XYZ sites. Let's go ahead and implement at the next sites. So we won't ever we don't close a net new logo and then we're done, right? We're like, okay, we closed you at, your Orange site, your Beaumont site. Let's go to Louisiana. Let's go to this site. So our expansion opportunities kind of grow from there after we get into those first, couple sites. So
yeah, that I think that probably helps with your stickiness too, right? That explains a lot of that.
Yeah,
a new logo is one thing, but when you can, but if you have room to, tenfold your initial sell with all the other locations, you're just it makes a huge difference from a revenue cycle and everything.
Oh yeah. Our retention rate, I think it's like 99.8%. So I mean, people stick with us. Cause I mean, yeah, you got a software in there, like no one wants to, you don't want to untangle it. So
Yeah. We worked with this when I first started Bluebird. Actually, this is probably it was either my first or my second client. I don't know how you classify them, but these young guys, and they had an engineering firm, and they were selling to the same plants that you guys are selling to. And we were doing their discovery, and they said, I said, who's your biggest customer? Who's your best customer you love working with? And they told me the name of the company, and I was like, wow, that's a big company. Well, how many of their plants are you in? And they said, just one. And I said, how many do they have? And they're like 12. And I'm like, what if I got you into 3 of them? And they said that would be awesome. Like that's the best thing could ever happen. So we came up with a plan to get them into the rest of the plants, and they had a really hustler sales guy. And so we gave them the plan, the pitches, all that stuff, and it worked. And I never heard from them again because they were like, we got all the business we need.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
Yeah, they were good guys. They did call me back about 6 months ago, and they needed a brochure because it came as part of their thing. And they're like, hey, we're out of brochure. We maybe touched on this earlier, but what would you say is the biggest obstacle that you guys face from a sales and marketing perspective?
Like in general, or just like with?
Yeah, well, I think you talked about the, big buying committee and the long sales cycle, and those are already 2 pretty big ones.
I know. Yeah.
Anything else in there that really do it, or is it, or which one of those 2 is the hardest one, right? I mean, I can make a case for both.
I know. I think I can make a case for both, right? I think for us too, I think I'm going to take this like a little bit different direction, aligning the sales and marketing teams.
Yeah.
I think can also almost like hinder your sales cycle a little bit. Like if those 2 teams aren't communicating right, I think there's always like huge value in making sure those teams are aligned, right? Because you don't want your marketing team blasting these XYZ accounts, right, while sales is working them, and risk losing things or risk, tarnishing any kind of progress that's already been made, right? So I think I answered this probably a little bit differently than you thought I was going to answer it, but I'm just kind of thinking like, man, I was like, we've talked about this. It's like, we got to make sure that our teams are aligned internally, because we don't want to be LinkedIn messaging or blasting people that we're already talking to because our cycle is so long. We have to make sure that all our internal stakeholders are aligned. So like sales needs to know from a standpoint, do they need to pull back and hand it back over to marketing to almost like re-engage it, or even like from even to business development to like re-engage an account, versus like, hey, does marketing just need to, and BDR need to just back off because now it's over into a sales side. So I think that's like so important. So if those teams aren't aligned on that communication structure, I think that could just kind of just blow everything up and just make you lose deals.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want a poorly timed email to that somebody's been working on for 14 months.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny that you say that. So of course I get like LinkedIn messages like all the time. And this was a couple years ago. This is right when I started at MCI, and I got a LinkedIn message, I don't know, maybe a couple months after I started at MCI, and it was, you could definitely tell it was like a business development, it was a salesy like kind of message. And the guy said, oh my gosh, congratulations on the funding that you received at the previous company that I was at. And they were like, oh my gosh, that's so great news to hear that. And I had already updated my job on LinkedIn. I mean, I'd been there for a couple of months already, and I rarely will message back on LinkedIn, but I messaged him back and I said, I no longer work there, and the company had full on layoffs because like the day they announced this funding. So I was like, yeah, and I never heard from him again, obviously, but then I was like, maybe you should have looked at my LinkedIn page before you sent me that message, because it was a startup company, especially with startups. Like there's so much turnover at startups.
I know exactly what happened there. They had Zoom info. They used the hot tip from Zoom info. They put it in the CRM, and it probably sat there for 3 weeks, a month, whatever. And then somebody's like, oh yeah, we finally got approval to send our our campaign out.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh God. And I just like I probably have it still in my inbox somewhere, but it stuck with me. I'm like, man, it's like go look at my LinkedIn page here. You may want to do a little bit more research before you, or maybe retailer that message.
Oh man, I would hate to be that part. Well, they probably just like take her out of the CRM.
Yeah, I never remember making after that. Of course, he like read the message, but he never responded. I probably wouldn't either if I was in his shoes. But it was just like, oh, like.
Probably just forwarded your email to the marketing team and said not a marketing contact.
Yeah, opt out. Like...
That is such a numbers game, that cold email intro. That cold outreach email to me is just so tough. I can't believe people are still using that for cold outreach. Especially the buy something for me email.
Yeah, and I mean everyone's doing their research online now, and you have to be 20% salesy and like 80% educational and like tailor your messaging to like the relationship building, right? And that's what we have also learned in not only just the company that I'm at now, but and I think this too, especially in oil and gas, like everybody knows each other, and like these like large industries in Houston, they not just oil and gas, manufacturing and tech, and it's a small world, and it's all about relationship building too. It's like you can't just like go in and be like, hey, I've got this product, buy it. We've realized that the relationship building is very important to us because we do have people leave one customer site and go somewhere new, and they're like, hey, I used your software at XYZ company, and now I'm head of IT over here, and I want to implement you guys over here. So that's been really great for us on like a referral, like previous, like we call like past champion user, and there's ways to do that on LinkedIn too. So
yeah, are you tracking them? Are you tracking the contacts as they move on? Yeah, that LinkedIn's a good tool for that. ZoomInfo is another really good tool for that. And we've been, for some of our clients to take advantage of that, we've been setting up automations for that. So when it changes, the emails automatically go out.
Yeah.
And they're added to a new drip campaign. And it's really good. It's like a good buy. It's a strong buying signal, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But but that's where hopefully your salespeople are paying attention to that. But if they're not, the marketing people can swoop in and give them that insight.
Yeah, we try to do that. We do run some campaigns for them. Like we did test out an an ex champion or that used to work at our previous or at our customer site. They've moved, and so we've set those up, and those have worked well for us. Like we had a handful of qualified leads come out of that, so that's been nice. And then we do have people just at events too. They're like, hey, like I've used you at this site or whatever, and then we've been really good too is we have SMEs that work for us that either implemented MyTrack or Track, it was previously called, in our customer sites, and then they've come to work for us. So like that's huge. So that's just like that's a really good trust booster for us. So
yeah, absolutely. And they are such valuable resources for your organization too.
Oh yeah,
exactly what's going on behind the scenes, and how those decisions were made, and who was nice to your salespeople in the room, but talk crap about them as soon as they left. And
right. Yeah, we usually have an SME on most of our maybe not like all of our discovery calls, but we usually have them on, like our meetings. We will try to have them at every event, like at least an SME there, just because like, or like BDR, like me even can only take conversation so far, and it starts getting technical. I'm like, I don't know. It's like, talk to this person.
Right.
Give me your card. I'll follow up with an email. We'll set a meeting up, So when they're like, oh, can you, get like super in the weeds, I'm like, I don't know. Like, hold on.
Talk to me about how you align with your sales force. You're talking about it can be a delicate dance. How do you communicate with them? How do you align with your sales team?
Oh my gosh, I've done this at a couple, probably I guess like really, we'll say 2.5 companies. The first company we had Salesforce at, it was a broken mess, and We just never touched it. So that was probably a big problem. But but I would say the company now and previous, when you're bringing anything new in, and that's like with anything, it's like you're bringing our software into a company, everybody's resistant to change, right? They're like, oh, and then it's like, okay, you're tracking everything I'm doing now. And it's like, well, no, like really trying to explain and show the value of what this tool. I mean, Salesforce is a very powerful tool, and HubSpot as well. Like HubSpot can be used in a very similar way, right? To be like, hey, like we can put we can tell you how much you have contributed to the company's success just by updating Salesforce. We can build you a dashboard where you can actually see all of the work that you're putting in and the return you're getting on it. Or, on the flip side, you can see maybe what's not working too. Like maybe I need to change my tactic. Maybe me calling this person every other day is not working. Maybe I need to try a different way. So there's pros and cons to it too, right? Like you can see like what works and what doesn't work. But and it takes time. Like I think kind of going into it with we're in the same team mentality. It's not and not you have to do it this way or else type of thing. I think if sales and marketing and RevX, you kind of all see that you're on the same team. We're like, hey, yes, this can be like a new scary thing that we're asking you to do, but here's the benefits of it. And, and really like including them in that process, right? To show them like, I'm a very visual person too. It's like, if you can walk me through something and show me the value of it, then that's really going to resonate with me. So we've tried to really do that too. Like, this is like why we're doing this. We're not doing it to, be a big brother, right? We're doing it because we really want to know where our successes are and really track it. So that's kind of how the approach we've taken to it. And it obviously is not an overnight thing. So there definitely have to be some difficult conversations at some point. But yeah, so.
I bet it's one of those things where you see the top performers, they want to show how they're doing things. Yeah, they're like, it's going to get me a bigger check. It's going to get me a promotion. This is going to help me in my career. Yeah, all those things, and especially the bigger bonuses and the bigger commission checks, right?
Oh yeah, and like we'll see, on our dashboards to say like, oh, this person has this many open opportunity. This person has this many qualified leads coming. You're like, okay, well, I only need like 5 more to beat this person, so it kind of throws on the competitive nature a little bit. I mean, depending on who you talk to, but there's you can make it competitive too in a fun way.
Yeah, I feel like the best salespeople are always competitive.
Oh yeah, like we've talked about that. Like I feel like what is it to be in sales? Like I feel like you should have like some sort of sports or competitive background to like be in sales.
Yeah, I definitely think that is I've seen a lot of ex-athletes that have really done very well in sales just because of that. They see it as this challenge. They're disciplined.
Yeah.
They know how to they're not afraid of getting up early and working hard.
Yeah. But I mean, I got fired from my one sales job, so.
Yeah, well, cold calling's not for everybody.
Yeah.
If you can't sell.
Oh, we did go. I know we did go door to door one day too. And my college friend was like, "Yeah, we can go door to door." I'm like, "Why are you telling them we can go door to door?" And then we did just use the tactic of just going up to Cheddar's, the restaurant, and just asking all the waiters to like fill in appointment cards for us, and then we're like, you can get a room cleaned for free in your house because like those things are gross. You're like your college house that you lived in. We're like, hey, we'll come clean a room for you. We're not going to buy a $2,000 vacuum or however much it was, but you'll get a room clean. You'll get your deposit back.
I love it.
Yeah. We got fired after that. It didn't work.
They're like, man, you got a lot of at bats and you sucked at all of them.
Yeah, I got 5 appointments. They were all on the women's soccer team at Angelo State. So
they had to remind you that you were there to sell vacuums, not vacuum people's houses.
They can't afford the vacuums. They're like, oh, you need to target.
I love it.
No.
Emily, what would you say is the biggest misconception about your industry?
I think for us, we have come across it doesn't happen a lot, but we have come across a few people that are flat out so resistant and don't even want to learn about our software because they are so confident that their Excel document or whatever homegrown system they may have is 100% accurate. So I'm interested to see if we can maybe sign one of those customers one day and like really show them, hey, like you're leaving quite a bit of money on the table because your Excel document is probably wrong, because your contractors are probably lying. Like, like
I love it. Excel is one of those things that anytime I see somebody using Excel that's not doing, accounting work, I think, man, there's got to be a better piece of software than Excel. It's got to be the most widely abused software on the planet.
Was it? I think I saw it was like a meme or something that I saw. Like I've seen it quite a few times, and they were like, "Don't tell your job that you know Excel, and then they'll just like have you make everything in Excel."
Yeah, well, don't burst the guy bubble who made that Excel sheet. Probably took him like 2 decades to.
I mean, I do have a couple Excel sheets, and like I have limited access to people. And I said, you can only view in it, but there's nothing like crazy built in it, right? But there's content in there and there's stuff in there. And I said, you can't go in and start changing things. So right. Like there's a couple people that own that document and you can view this, but don't
change any cells.
Grubby fingers in there. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a couple of those too. I don't let anybody touch my masterpiece.
Yeah. View
software.
only.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe I'll hide a tab for them or something.
Oh yeah.
So where do you see your industry going over the next 5 to 10 years?
I think I could see just management controls as a whole really breaking into new spaces, right? And I think that really does take time given our sales cycle. So I think like you look at 5 to 10 years, I could see us breaking into more of a manufacturing space, like really growing our presence there, or really kind of building out our customer bases that are a little bit smaller, like on a pulp and paper side, and then really growing into a more global reach. We're pretty heavy in Canada. We've got presence in Australia, but now we're kind of having those conversations of like, what does South America look like? What is more of the APAC region look like? So we're kind of figuring that out. So I would love to see, where are we at? Like, are we more saturated now in South America? Are we in Brazil and things like that, and, areas like that? So that'll be really interesting to kind of see where we're at in that time frame. Because like oil and gas, we know it. We started there. So it's like, where's our next big industry? Like, where are we going to start blowing it up,
Yeah, man, that strategically, that brings on all kinds of great questions. Because you could stay in the same industry and just go geographically, like you said, just take over the world. You haven't taken over the world yet in one industry, but there's cost to that and there's risks to that as well.
Languages too.
Yeah.
So that's, we're trying to figure that out. It's like, okay, language side, like how do you tackle that? And yeah, it's interesting, but oil and gas has been like, yeah, we've been in oil and gas, but like, what can we do? Can we like just take over all of mining? Can we take over all of it? Can we go into automotive? Like we're dabbling in that side. Like, can we go on just take over that side? And yeah, to your point, like geographically, what does that look like too? So. And we do have a lot of potential on a geographic side too, since we do have a bulk of our customers are very global. So that's definitely a possibility.
Oh yeah. Well, some of those big players that you guys work for, they're operating in, 43 countries. And,
yeah. Let's go over to Dubai and, Abu Dhabi and all that. So.
Well, let me know when you go to the Dubai office. I'll come with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be a good trip. You go indoor skiing.
Right.
All right. So, Emily, we talked a little bit about some of the tactics you guys are using over there. We talked a little bit about trade shows. What else are you guys doing? What's working for you?
Yeah. So, like, honestly, like events have been so good for us. And then kind of on another layer of that, we have really focused some of our time at getting more involved with associations or groups that are in the market too. So we work with a handful of associations and groups here in Houston, and we do have a couple in Canada and Australia that we work with that are very like industry focused, like that really kind of do work within our ICP. So and that is kind of like an event, right? But we do try to really get involved with those areas too, because obviously those conversations can help spark a quality conversion for us. So we are seeing that it's been a really big driver for us, not just from like the big event standpoint, right? Like here, we don't need a 20 by 20 booth. Like if we can go to these like more tailored events or even host events, like happy hours or networking events or roundtables, those have been drivers for us too. So it still definitely falls into like the event arena, but it's not as like spray and pray, right? We're doing a targeted approach in that space. We've also seen some luck at, we're talking about the old tactics like direct mail. We have done what we call like leadership letters. So we have found the heads of procurement, CTOs, CIOs, presidents, et cetera, of target accounts that we want to attack. So very ABM focused, and literally mailing them a letter, pulling what we think their contractor spend is, and then showing them accurate, like what we think is like data that we think we can prove to them. And it's coming directly from our president. He is signing them. So we'd seen some people actually pick up the phone and say, hey, I got this on my desk. Let's talk. So we've been able to convert. It's a low number, right? But for us, like, it's a high number in the grand scheme of things. So we saw that snail mail worked a little bit. And which was I was team like, this is never going to work. I was like, this is not going to work. And we did have a few people convert on it, and which was very interesting. So eat my words, it did work. And we're working with now like an AI agent to do that, to send those out for us. And we're testing out another, like a handwritten AI writing service to do some handwritten notes as a step in our outreach. So obviously it's not the only thing that we'll be doing, but yeah, so we're starting to test that out a bit. But we've had we have a team of cold callers, and cold calling has worked. We've gotten quite a few meetings off of just picking up the phone and calling people. I couldn't do it. I had a job in college where I had to call people, and I was fired like after the first week. They were like, this isn't for you. I said, no, this is not for me.
You have to love rejection for that.
I know. And it was selling vacuums. It was Kirby vacuums. And they were like, here's your check, don't come back. I'm like, that sounds good. But yeah, so we've had luck on the just cold calling side too. But I would say events are, of course I say events are the best one because I'm like over that, right? And our events team is like, we're like, we love our team. So we like to battle it out with our cold callers and say like, oh, we got this SQL. It converted to an opportunity. What do y'all got?
Yeah, I love that friendly rivalry within the company.
Yeah. You should see our team's channel. It's pinging all the time. So
that's when that to me is when it gets really fun, because you guys are all fired up about revenue and getting these strong leads in, and then it becomes competitive. You got something to talk about in the break room, and beat up on each other on the chat on. So that gets so fun.
Yeah, we do like some competition over here. So, and then I'll go into Salesforce and be like, oh, okay, where did this one come from? Or like, if our RVPs or BDRs can, I'm like, okay, let's see the history. Like, did we touch them in like this campaign, or were they in something historically? So that kind of goes back to the tracking thing. So sometimes it can get a little bit obsessive, but it's entertaining.
It's interesting to hear about the handwritten campaigns. I get things in the mail, of course, from the Handwrittenly was the company. And they always send these really cool packets and everything. And I'm always going, that's interesting. I don't know if I could use it or where I would use it. But I always get it. And like I said, their direct mail pieces are beautiful.
Yeah.
And it always piques my interest. And they're so nice. I didn't even want to throw them away. It's like, wow, it's a little packet. Like, I don't want to throw this away. But I did, because when in doubt,
you throw it away. Yeah. Yeah.
But it sat on my desk way longer than something ugly would have.
Well, I'll let you know how ours goes.
Yeah, the most successful campaign I've ever run in my entire career was direct mail. Can you believe it?
Do I know which one it is?
Maybe. No, I don't think you know this one. This was early in my career. We were working for this company that were union busters. So basically, if your company was going to unionize, they would come in and help talk them out of it. And so what happens when you unionize is that the people who want to form the union have to go and file a document with the labor board in your county. And when they do that, it's public record. And it also sets off a clock because your hearing is only a certain time and it's X amount of days directly from that at this certain time. And so we worked with our client and we had this idea to make a brochure that they were really good at, their success rate was crazy high.
Yeah.
And so we did this brochure and it had a countdown clock on it. And it was counting down to the time of the hearing to the exact second.
Oh my gosh.
The brochure said, your employees are getting organized. You should too. And it went in to say how they go about doing this. And so we FedExed it to the CEO of the company.
Oh my gosh.
Something that bankrupts companies a lot of times when employees form a union because they don't have the cost basis to support something like that. And so it goes straight to the CEO. This is something that is literally keeping the CEO up at night. It is a bleeding from the neck problem.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we would FedEx it to the CEO. And have you ever got a package from FedEx and not opened it? No.
No.
You're always what the heck is this? Somebody paid $30 to send me this thing. What is this? And so they opened it up and they called 100% of the time.
Oh my God. That's amazing. You can't get better than that.
I know. I was like, I can't. That's why I say it was my most successful one. And it was.
You could have just retire after that.
Well, that was another one that was like it worked so well. The clients never called us back. They're like, sweet, thanks. We got all this.
Maybe you should fail a little bit and then be successful. So just kind of keep them on the hook for a little bit.
Yeah, I never think about that. We're just trying to give them a grand slam.
And we just came up with the strategy here.
Yeah, but that was a really fun one. I always keep thinking like every product, every campaign I work on, I'm like, how could we do something like that?
Yeah.
We never have that kind of data, and we never have that bleeding from the neck problem where people are like, I gotta fix. If I don't fix this, we'll lose our company.
Yeah,
that's a serious thing that requires a quick action. So you mentioned a couple things there about mentioned AI for the handwriting things. So Emily, tell me what emerging marketing and sales trends are you most interested in right now?
Well, obviously there's AI. We're all in the chat GPT, Microsoft game, right? So we're all using AI to a degree, or we should be, right? So I think that's obviously a trend that's going to just continue moving forward with all of the platforms that are coming out and things like that. So that's always exciting to see. Like we're testing a few now at MCI. So it's really cool to add that to your toolkit, especially with marketing changing so much. But I do think that really tracking your operations, like from your sales revenue ops standpoint, is emerging on like the B2B side. So I think, just really kind of seeing conversations around that. And I've talked to a handful of people where they're like, oh, we're not reporting and we're not using Salesforce on any. These are specifically B2B people that I'm talking to that are on like enterprise side B2B. And they are just like, we've never done that. We're not doing that. We're not tracking anything, but like we need to, and we're just now starting to do that. So I think on B2C, like I think they've got that side pretty much figured out. But from B2B side, I think the tracking of the ROI, building the RevOps engine, looking at the reporting, seeing how far they can stretch their dollars and what is working is going to be something that I think is going to continue to emerge. I think we're still like in the early stages of that. And I mean, I really only started doing it maybe like 5 years ago. So it was all B2B, and that's kind of where I got into like the demand gen side. And I really didn't even know what demand gen was until I got recruited off LinkedIn for a job, and they were like, "We were doing demand gen." I'm like, "Am I?" And she was like, "Yeah, you are." And then I was able to kind of really dive into the Salesforce side, the tracking side, all of that. So I hope that's how B2B continues to trend towards.
Yeah, that's the way I was with RevOps. Like I didn't know what that was, and somebody was telling me about it. I'm like, oh, we've been doing that for decades.
Yeah,
we always work closely with our sales teams and help them get the deals over the line, provide the give them insights. I think that's but I didn't know that's what you called it. I just thought it was called working closely with the sales team.
Yeah, I mean, I remember working in my like early oil and gas days. We were more like project managers, and that's where I got stuck, and I just noticed I was like, man, I'm just doing the same thing over and over. And I can see that was when LinkedIn was really getting out there, Twitter was really getting out there, and I remember our team had to pitch to corporate just to get a LinkedIn page.
Wow.
Because they were just like, we don't need social media. And I was just like, man, okay, well, I'm getting left behind. Like, there are so many things changing, and this was 12 years ago. So many things are changing, and I was like, I don't want to get stuck. So that's when I really started like, maybe I should go into the tech side versus like staying in oil and gas for so long, because we both know that oil and gas is very rigid. They're very black and white. They want to keep things to a template. They want to like run things very by the book. And I think it's emerged in the last few years. I think they're getting more open to change now in the last like 5-6 years, at least maybe some of the companies are. We know some of them probably are very stuck in their old ways, but But then when I went over to tech, I was like, they're giving me the opportunity to like try stuff, to fail, to just mess some stuff up, and then really kind of figure out what works. So I really valued my time on that tech space, being with those couple companies that I was at, because it allowed me to really strengthen my toolkit, and add things to it. Like, and I'm not a professional and an expert on any of it, right? But I do feel like I know enough to be like, okay, like, feel like this is where we need to be in like this area, or this is what we need to do in this area. And there's definitely specialties for everything, right? There's PPC, which I will never know all about, SEO, content, things like that. But it's just changed so much. And that's kind of just how I felt 10, 12 years ago. I was like, I'm getting stuck. Like, everything is emerging and changing. And I feel like that's where we're at now too. Like, we're kind of seeing that with like the whole, with AI and with all these new tools and things coming out and reporting and just like the analytics side. So I feel like I'm seeing that same shift now that was like 10 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, I think you're right, with that, because I think that I've been in this business for a long time and been marketing for a long time, and I've just been so many changes that have come in my career. And those waves of changes are just coming more frequently, and I think they're getting bigger. And I think if you try to stay still in this industry, you're going to get left behind so fast. If you're not learning and evolving and changing with the technology, changing with the taste of the buyers that you're trying to sell to, all those things, you just you become a dinosaur really quick in this industry.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and just buyers are so different now than they were 10 years ago. Like, because I mean, just the content is there, the tools are there, they could look it up and learn themselves. So you really have to adapt to that. And if you don't, I mean, that's going to deter you. That's going to deter your buyer too. So
that's right. That's the one that I always. Sometimes we run across some people that are, don't know that they're dinosaurs living in the age of the mammal, and they tell us things like, this is a relationship business purely. We don't need to be on LinkedIn, or we don't need to. I'm not getting on social media. And you go, it's crazy to me. And that people feel that way because every business is a relationship business,
right?
Every single business. You're gonna have to form some sort of relationship, especially in B2B, where it's a long sales cycle, and you're doing a fair amount of consultative selling and all that. Of course, you have to have it's a relationship business.
Well, yeah, like even being just like out at an event or out talking to somebody, I'm talking to them. I'm like, hey, I'm going to connect with you on LinkedIn. Here's my phone. Tap. Like, let's connect. And that's like normal part of a conversation now. To say, hey, let's connect on LinkedIn. I'll send you something. Or I did that today. I connected with one of a customer of ours, and I was like, hey, we chatted last week at our happy hour. Here's information that we were talking about. And it's you have to have it.
Yeah, technology will help you build those relationships.
Yeah,
your customers have a relationship with your competitors too.
Yeah,
and to break it to you.
Yeah,
they have relationships with everybody. Well, so along those lines, we're talking about our careers and how things have changed and all that. What advice would you give to a young marketer?
Be ready to be agile. And just be ready to pivot. And if we can maybe throw in the Friends meme there with like the couch going up the stairs with like the pivot, that would be good. I'll probably pivot a few times a week, right? Like something's not going to work or we got to change something. Like you really have to be open to like adapt to that and not be so set in like you think this is right or wrong. And then be okay to fail. We've done projects, I've run campaigns that have just been a complete flop. Like, don't be scared of that. I hate messing up like as much as the next person, or I hate failing at something or forgetting to do something or whatever. I think you have to be okay with that happening and learn from it and accept it and take ownership. I think that's only going to help you grow, not only as like a marketer, but as a person too. So I think that's some of the biggest things.
I saw a sign. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they had some stuff on the wall behind them. And one of them was a sign that said, "You either win or you learn."
Yeah.
And I was like, "That's great. That is such a good thing." There's no such thing as losing because you're going to learn.
Yeah, I definitely I kick myself. I'm like, oh, we didn't do this, or oh, there was a spelling error, like stuff like that. Like you just will never be able to control.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning to, work past that. But sure, and I think too, like it's when I've like interviewed people or talked with like interns too. I like also try to tell them like, you have good ideas, bring them to the table. Don't be afraid to get a seat in the room, right? Like if you have an idea, like I'm going to be able to learn just as much from you as vice versa. So we don't know everything. Yeah. So be confident and share your ideas.
That's right. Be ready to learn.
Yeah.
And no matter how long you were in this business.
Oh yeah.
I learn something every, if not every day, every week, I learn a few things.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow, that's really the way it works. Especially our clients, they're so different. And you're like, wow, that's weird. How do you make money doing that? And then it's like, it's so interesting to me to see how companies operate, how they make their money, how they go about business, all that. It's like, if you want to learn, this is the business, I feel.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely being on the agency side, you get to talk with so many different clients and industries and people. So.
Well, Emily, thanks for being on the show. I really enjoyed our conversation as always.
As always.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to reach out to you, should they just send you a handwritten letter, or what's the best way to?
I would like a FedEx package.
FedEx package.
Maybe
that's good.
Shipped to my house. So
maybe attach it to a falcon's leg.
Ooh, yeah. That'd be good. Like a carrier pigeon too, but.
Yeah, it'd be good, but it's a falcon, and it kills the other carrier pigeons.
Yeah,
makes its way to you.
Yeah, I would definitely call back. I for sure would pick up the phone.
All right, so if there are any falconers out there, reach out to Emily with your falcon.
Yeah, happy to chat all things marketing anytime, and always love talking to you, Richard.
All right, Emily. Well, thanks for being on the show, and we'll talk to you later.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
That's a wrap on today's episode. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing, sharing, or spreading the news about us on your favorite channel. Thank you for tuning into Above the Clouds, Stories from the Boardroom. Until next time, stay above the clouds.